Hi everyone, a very good morning to all of you. Please let me know in the comment section whether my audio and video is clear so that we can have the class in a smooth and continuous manner without any disruption. Just let me know if everything is clear. Good morning, Tanishk. Good morning, Samosa ji. Good morning, Evelyn. Good morning, Sureka. All clear? Chalo, theek hai. So we do this live mint analysis every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 8 a.m. ठीक है, so this is a very important analysis from your exam point of view because we bring in important news articles from the newspaper, try to link it with the static portion, and then we also do a few MCQs at the end, right? ठीक है, before I begin, if you want to download this YouTube class video, you can do it from the Oliveboard app. Just go to the courses section. वहाँ पे there's going to be a separate YouTube class PDFs folder. यहाँ से you can download the PDF, right? Amrendra, good morning. Good morning, everyone. So, what are we going to cover today? Let's take a look at that. And also, before I continue, if there's anybody who has not yet connected with me on Telegram, I'm sharing my Telegram handle, Mannat Educator, for regular updates related to classes and all. I keep sharing the links here, right? So, सबसे पहले we are going to talk about the impact of depreciation of rupee. We are going to see some important insights. This was an important article. We're going to understand a few terms over here. We're going to understand the difference between REIT and exchange rate. What are these terms? You might have heard about REIT, real exchange rate, nominal exchange rate. So we'll try and understand this basic. Okay, good morning, Akanksha. फिर न्यू BIS नॉर्म्स फॉर AI फाइनेंस एंड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर. व्हाट आर दीज BIS नॉर्म्स, वो हम पढ़ेंगे. फिर हम बात करेंगे हाउ संजय मल्होत्रा फर्स्ट ईयर इन हिज टर्म, उन्होंने कैसे आरबीआई को लिबरलाइज किया एंड व्हाट इज हिज स्ट्रैटेजी. अब ये कुछ ऐसे आर्टिकल्स ना इंपॉर्टेंट रहते हैं फ्रॉम योर इंटरव्यू पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू एंड टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट व्हाट इज हिज स्ट्रैटेजी, व्हाट इज हिज फिलोसफी. क्योंकि जो ये गवर्नर्स रहते हैं, जो ये इन्फ्लुएंशियल इकोनॉमिस्ट रहते हैं, दे हैव देयर ओन स्ट्रैटेजी ऑफ टेकिंग फॉरवर्ड एन इकोनॉमी. तो वो समझना बहुत ज़रूरी है. फिर हम बात करेंगे एडीबी की फाइनेंशियल ईयर 26 की जो रेटिंग्स हैं वो अपग्रेड की हैं, वो चेंज की हैं, है ना, वो हम बात करेंगे. देन वी आर गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट रियल एस्टेट इन्वेस्टमेंट ट्रस्ट एंड इनविट्स. इनकी बात करेंगे कि ये होते क्या हैं, व्हाट दीज आर एंड हाउ दीज कुड इम्प्रूव इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ग्रोथ. यहाँ पे लिखा है कि वी इन्वेस्ट इन देम, इट इज गोइंग टू हेल्प अस इन इम्प्रूविंग इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर. तो ये हम देखेंगे. उसके अलावा कुछ फैक्ट बेस्ड न्यूज है एंड एट लास्ट वी आर गोइंग टू डू अ फ्यू एमसीक्यूज, राइट? So first snippet over here is related to this, how a weaker rupee helps or hurts India. अब देखो, वीकर रुपी की हम किसकी बात कर रहे हैं? डेप्रीसिएशन की बात कर रहे हैं, राइट? वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट डेप्रीसिएशन. सो देयर आर टू टर्म्स ओवर हियर, डेप्रीसिएशन, एप्रीसिएशन. और यहाँ पे एक होता है डीवैल्यूएशन एंड रीवैल्यूएशन, ठीक है? Right now you are seeing that the rupee is depreciating against the dollar. हम रुपी का depreciation देख रहे हैं आजकल. What is depreciation? कि मान लीजिए पहले $1 80 रुपीस का था, अब $1 it is 90 rupees now. That means now these Americans, they were able to first take 80 rupees worth of goods. Now they are able to take 90 rupees worth of goods. तो इससे क्या होगा? These Americans, they are going to buy more from India. That means यहाँ पे इंडिया के exports are going to increase. इसका एक पॉजिटिव चीज ये रहती है कि हमें पता है that aggregate demand is equal to C plus I plus G plus exports minus imports. ये रहता है फॉर्मूला. अगर हमारे एक्सपोर्ट्स बढ़ेंगे तो हमारी एग्रीगेट डिमांड भी बढ़ जाएगा. ये सही, ये एक इम्पॉर्टेंट इम्प्लीकेशन रहता है. एंड व्हेन एग्रीगेट डिमांड इंक्रीजेस, जीडीपी इंक्रीजेस, व्हिच लीड्स टू एन इंक्रीज इन द इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल दिस थिंग, राइट? तो ये तो हो गया इसका पॉजिटिव. बट इफ यू सी इन द लॉन्ग टर्म, अब अगर ये $1 80 से 90 हो गया, दैट मीन्स जो हमारी वैल्यू ऑफ रुपी है, वैल्यू ऑफ आवर करेंसी इज डिक्लाइनिंग. ठीक है, जब हमारी वैल्यू ऑफ करेंसी डिक्लाइन होती है तो इंटरनेशनल लेवल पे ये एक नेगेटिव सिनेरियो पोर्ट्रे करता है। जितनी ज़्यादा हमारी वैल्यू वीक होती रहेगी करेंसी की, जितनी ज़्यादा वीक होती रहेगी उतनी ज़्यादा लॉन्ग टर्म में प्रॉब्लमैटिक रहता है बेसिकली, ठीक है। सो दीज आर द पॉजिटिव्स एंड नेगेटिव्स ऑफ डेप्रिसिएशन, ठीक है। अब अगर यही चीज $1 पहले 80 की थी, अब 90 की कर दी, अगर ये डेलिबरेटली गवर्नमेंट करे तो उसे कहते हैं डीवैल्यूएशन। और डेप्रिसिएशन और डीवैल्यूएशन का ऑपोजिट रहता है एप्रिसिएशन एंड रिवैल्यूएशन। जब $1 80 से 70 हो गया है ना, दैट मीन्स वैल्यू ऑफ आवर करेंसी इज इंक्रीजिंग, और इस केस में हमारे इंपोर्ट्स बढ़ जाएंगे, ठीक है। अच्छा, अगर हम यहाँ पे देखें कि हमारे एक्सपोर्ट्स तो बढ़ रहे हैं इन केस ऑफ डेप्रिसिएशन ऑफ रुपी, बट डोंट यू थिंक कि हमारे इंपोर्ट्स अब कॉस्टलियर हो गए हैं? हमारे इंपोर्ट्स अब महंगे हो गए हैं, इफ यू सी दिस सिनेरियो, है ना, डेप्रिसिएशन का अगर हम देखें। बिकॉज पहले इंडिया हैड टू पे 80 रुपीज फॉर बाइंग $1 वर्थ ऑफ गुड, अब हमें 90 रुपीज देना पड़ेगा टू बाय $1 वर्थ ऑफ गुड्स। दैट मीन्स अब हम जो इंपोर्ट्स हैं उन्हें महंगे खरीद पाएंगे, इंपोर्ट्स को महंगा खरीद पाएंगे। दैट मीन्स फॉर एग्जांपल, मान लीजिए हम कोई एसेंशियल आइटम को इंपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, है ना, जैसे मान लीजिए हम रेयर अर्थ मैग्नेट्स को इंपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, या फिर कुछ ऐसे कंपोनेंट्स को इंपोर्ट कर रहे हैं विच इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इन द मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर ऑफ आवर कंट्री। सो वोंट इट नेगेटिवली इम्पैक्ट आवर इकोनॉमी, है ना। तो इंपोर्ट्स कॉस्टलियर होने की वजह से नेगेटिव इम्पैक्ट पड़ सकता है इकोनॉमी में। तो दिस इज द पॉजिटिव एंड द डाउनसाइड ऑफ डेप्रिसिएशन। यहाँ पे इसी की बात कर रहे हैं दैट हमारे रुपी की जो अंडर वैल्यूएशन होगी, यानी कि उसकी वैल्यू डिक्लाइन हो रही है, वैल्यू ऑफ आवर करेंसी इज डिक्लाइनिंग, और 90 पर डॉलर को भी क्रॉस कर रही है ना, 5% से इट इज डाउन, ठीक है। अभी अंडर वैल्यू हो गई है इन रियल टर्म्स अकॉर्डिंग टू 40 करेंसी रीर ओवर है। अभी यहाँ पे ना मुझे आपको बेसिकली इस आर्टिकल में जो दो चीजें आपको मैंने ये समझानी है, दैट व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन एक्सचेंज रेट, एक देखो आपका रहता है एक्सचेंज रेट, और एक होता है इफेक्टिव एक्सचेंज रेट। कैन एनीवन टेल मी व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन एक्सचेंज रेट एंड इफेक्टिव एक्सचेंज रेट? एनीबॉडी? यहाँ पे एक्सचेंज रेट के अंदर हम दो चीजें पढ़ते हैं, वन इज योर नॉमिनल एक्सचेंज रेट, नॉमिनल एक्सचेंज रेट, वन इज योर रियल एक्सचेंज रेट। ओके सुरेखा, वन इज योर नॉमिनल एक्सचेंज रेट, वन इज योर रियल एक्सचेंज रेट, राइट, एक्सचेंज रेट के अंदर। देन वी हैव इफेक्टिव एक्सचेंज रेट, हियर आल्सो वी हैव नॉमिनल effective exchange rate. Can anyone tell me what is the difference between the two, the effective and exchange rate and effective exchange rate? We have nominal effective exchange rate, we have real effective exchange rate. Any idea, anyone, what is the difference between the two? Please write down in the comment section and tell me. कि exchange rate, you usually use the word exchange rate, you see this word in the newspapers also regularly, in the articles and all also you see the word exchange rate, but in this snippet there was this word called rear, ठीक है। So यहाँ पे if you see the line over here, they are saying the rupee dollar exchange rate is undervalued in real terms according to 40 currency rear, ठीक है, and it is weaker than Chinese yuan in real terms. See, when I talk about exchange rate, I am basically seeing my currency, my domestic currency, my domestic currency with respect to one foreign currency. What am I seeing? $1 is equal to $1 is equal to 80 rupees or 90 rupees. What am I seeing? I'm seeing my currency with respect to just dollar, है ना. I'm not including your euro, yuan, yen. I'm not including all of that. I'm just seeing my currency with respect to one currency of the other country, or with respect to dollar over here. That is exchange rate. If I see my currency with respect to a basket of currencies, with respect to different currencies, say I am seeing it with respect to dollar also, I am seeing it with respect to euro also, how it is performing, I am seeing it with respect to pound sterling also, I am seeing it with respect to yuan also, yen also, etc, etc. So basically, when I am seeing my currency with respect to all currencies together, with respect to a basket of currencies, I say that that is effective exchange rate. Fine. So exchange rate I'm only seeing with respect to one currency. Effective exchange rate I'm seeing with respect to different currencies. I hope this first differentiation is clear between exchange rate and effective exchange rate. Now under exchange rate and effective exchange rate, there is this term you've seen over here, which is nominal exchange rate, real exchange rate, nominal effective exchange rate, real effective exchange rate. So when you study about real GDP and nominal GDP, when you see this real GDP, nominal GDP, what difference do you see? That you are adjusting your GDP for inflation, then you get real GDP, है ना? So nominal GDP minus inflation rate is equal to real GDP, है ना? Similarly, when you account for inflation, then you get real exchange rate. Because why? Because if I have to talk about US, and if I have to talk about India, then in real terms, if you see the real scenario, in US inflation rate is different. In India inflation rate is different. है ना? The inflation rate in both of these countries are different. है ना? So you have to adjust the exchange rate for inflation. Similarly, when you adjust the effective exchange rate for inflation, you get real effective exchange rate. This is the difference. Okay? So now in this article they are saying that in real terms, that means after adjusting for inflation, India's currency is undervalued. That means India's currency is depreciating against the dollar. Okay? And rupee is weaker than Chinese yuan. Chinese yuan is also depreciating. Chinese yuan is also depreciating. But if we have to see the real scenario in real terms, then India's rupee is depreciating more against the dollar. Fine. If you see, I've already explained you that the positive side of depreciation is that exports become more competitive, our exports increase. But the downside is that imports become costlier. है ना? अच्छा, out of your exchange rate and real exchange rate, or effective exchange rate and effective exchange rate, India follows the effective exchange rate strategy. ठीक है? In India, what matters more is the effective exchange rate. If you guys are following, initially when you were if you guys are following the newspaper, then there was this statement made by Nirmala Sitharaman related to depreciation. She said that it is not that rupee is depreciating against the dollar. The real scenario is that dollar is appreciating against the rupee. What did she mean by this statement? She made this statement in the newspaper. Okay? What she meant by this statement is, if we compare rupee in effective exchange rate terms, then rupee against the dollar is depreciating, right? But rupee against other currencies is stable. That means, what is the scenario? This dollar is appreciating. So this statement is made over here that India follows multi-currency trade, which is REIR is what matters more than the rupee dollar movement. ठीक है? Fine. So if you see here, if you talk about China's dominant role in industrial inputs, that China's dominant role in the sense what we import from China, है ना? What we are importing from China, you can see here. If we have to import organic chemicals, then China's share is 43.2. Electric machinery and parts में 42.9. Nuclear reactors, boilers में 40.3. Plastics 28.7. Vehicles other than railways 25.9, aluminium 24.1, optical and precision equipment 18.1, and iron and steel 13.7. So this is important over here, because we are saying that our imports are becoming costlier. And imports are becoming costlier, and we import from China. But if you see, China's currency is also depreciating. If Chinese currency is depreciating, that means Chinese exports will increase. है ना? Chinese exports will increase. So even though our imports are becoming costlier, but इतना ज़्यादा impact नहीं हो रहा because of these costlier imports. Why? Because Chinese currency is also undervalued and Chinese currency is also depreciating. So their exports will increase in our country, and we might see a scenario that Chinese goods are being dumped in the country. that China might dump the goods in the country. Can anyone explain you what is the meaning of dumping? What is the meaning of dumping? I hope you guys have understood this. What am I trying to say over here? Because of depreciation of rupee, our exports are going to increase, but our imports are also going to become costlier. है ना? And we import maximum stuff from China like this. So, so actually, what should have happened is that imports should have reduced from China because of this. But because Chinese currency is also depreciating, तो उनके imports are उनके exports are increasing and they are exporting it to India, and there might be this problem of dumping, selling large quantities of cheap goods to another country. So यहाँ पे there's this important concept of dumping. What is dumping? Dumping I'm going to explain you in a very easy and economical way in economics terms. ठीक है? So this is your domestic currency over here. This is your domestic country. ठीक है? This is your domestic country and this is your foreign country. ठीक है? If I am selling a product, how am I selling it in the domestic country? I am selling the product at a higher price in my country, at the general price which I have to actually set. But in the foreign country, I sell those goods at a cheaper rate, extremely cheaper rate. I basically dump these goods. जैसे हम कूड़ा dump कर देते हैं, we dump the garbage somewhere. Similarly, what this domestic country, say China, what is it going to do? It is going to sell the product at a higher price in its own country, but it's going to sell it at a very low price in the foreign country. What is the downside of this is that the domestic country of India, for example, it is dumping in India. India is the foreign country for China right now. If it is dumping in India, it is going to destroy the domestic producers in India. Obviously, they will not be able to compete with Chinese price or Chinese goods ke price. है ना? So this is the downside of dumping. So this was seen that because of this undervaluation of Chinese rupee and because the domestic demand of China is very weak. If you see, a major problem in China is that the domestic demand of China is quite weak. So there was this problem of dumping. So this is another issue that India might face, and that is why if you see that India was putting in anti-dumping duties, it was scrutinizing the imports which we were bringing from other countries, है ना? देख रहे थे कि कहीं China तो नहीं divert करके selling in the country. Then according to India, IMD's World Competitiveness Index, our competitiveness at the global level, export competitiveness we're talking about. So our rank was 44 in 21, 50 in 2025. We have other countries which are higher in export competitiveness: UAE, US, China, Malaysia, Indonesia. है ना? They are better. ठीक है, that means what is the policy implication over here? What we need to understand from here is that we have to improve our price competitiveness. ठीक है, we have to improve our price competitiveness. We have to improve the productivity in the country, labor productivity. We have to improve our skills because our competitiveness and productivity is not at all good. ठीक है, our exports, if we are exporting also to the foreign countries now, our exports are also dependent upon imported components, because inputs we import from outside, then using those inputs we make exported goods, we make goods for export. So we are highly dependent on imports, and that is why foreign content in exports is around 33.5%, which is a negative thing. So we need to focus on our manufacturing competitiveness. This is what you infer from here, that you have to focus on your manufacturing sector and improve it. Okay? So I hope you've understood the crux. So here what we've tried to understand, what static portion have we tried to understand, that is all in your syllabus. We try to understand what is depreciation, what is appreciation, what is devaluation, what is revaluation. I hope that this difference is clear. Secondly, we talked about exchange rate, we talked about effective exchange rate, we talked about real exchange rate, nominal exchange rate, real effective exchange rate, nominal effective exchange rate. Third concept from your static portion, we talked about dumping. So these are the three major things that we talked about in this particular article. Apart from that, what crux did we get from here is that India's manufacturing competitiveness is quite weak, and that is why we have to enhance this manufacturing competitiveness in the country, because even if we are exporting, it is highly dependent on the imported inputs, which is a problem for the country. That is why we rank very low in the IMD's World Competitiveness Index. I hope that this article is clear to all of you. Okay? Second, let's move on to the BIS norms for AI finance infrastructure. Here I'm going to give you a homework. First of all, you're going to read about Bureau of Indian Standards. Okay? Bureau of Indian Standards, you are going to read about Bureau of Indian Standards. For example, where is the headquarter, when was this formed, ऐसे करके what is its role, है ना? It establishes standards related to what all. ठीक है? This is your homework that I'm giving you related to your Bureau of Indian Standards. ठीक है? Now, BIS, basically, what I have to tell you the crux of it, BIS, it forms certain standards for different goods and all different sectors of the economy. Okay? So now BIS norms are there, some standards are there. They have been established for artificial intelligence, finance, and infrastructure. What these standards are, let's talk about that. So 12 new standards have been brought in, which cover AI, which cover financial cryptographic devices. How can they be secure? They talk about audit data system, lifts, campus facilities, electrical machines, optical fiber testing, and two government orders have been separately issued. ठीक है, and these norms, why did we bring in these norms? To align them with the International Standards Organization and International Electrotechnical Commission. So basically we want to align the Indian standards with the international standards. That is why these new norms have been brought in. ठीक है, so AI data quality standards have been introduced. What are these standards? What are these standards related to AI? You have to remember this. Okay, you have to remember this. What new standards? Firstly, we have to define how data should be classified, measured, managed, and audited. The जो भी data that is available, how are we classifying this data? Is it important data? Is it personal data? Privacy should be ensured or not? Or whether this data can be made public or not, like that. How this data is going to be measured, how are you going to manage this data, how are you going to audit. ठीक है, then apply to analytics and machine learning systems. So bring in these new machine learning systems and all. We need to implement all of this. ठीक है, how artificial intelligence applies to these analytics, machine learning systems and all. What is the aim? That we want to basically set a common language for data quality. We need to improve governance. We need to ensure that data is not misused, manipulated. ठीक है, and as AI becomes more embedded in banking, insurance, logistics, government systems, so regulators were concerned about bias, inaccuracy, lack of uniform data governance guidelines. So basically we see AI ka uses everywhere, whether it's any kind of banking service, whether it's any kind of financial service, insurance service, logistics, government के लिए we are using artificial intelligence very extensively. So there's this problem, there are some downsides to it, so there were some risks attached to it. That is why we brought in these new standards. ठीक है, fine. So if I talk about AI testing experts, we need to ensure that there is enough accuracy, there is completeness, there is no lack of information and all. ठीक है, timeliness, that within the time the all the things should have been done. Bias detection, कि ऐसा कहीं bias तो नहीं है किसी चीज में. So for that, government governance policies and full provenance records. Provenance records means सबसे starting से एकदम initially एकदम setup होने से records have to be maintained. Fine, and these norms are going to help. The compliance is voluntary as of now, but it is very it is recommended for all these sectors: healthcare, finance, insurance, government services. It is going to reduce any kind of error, model errors, improve accountability, maintain audit trails and all. है ना. Then for cryptographic devices also standards have been ensured. ठीक है कि these cryptographic devices which are used in ATMs, point of service terminals, payment authentication systems, यहाँ पे जो use हो रहा है, standards have been brought from them also. All these standards have replaced the 2019 version. We've brought in a new version this year. ठीक है. And bank and fintech companies, digital public infrastructure projects, platforms using AI driven recommendations, healthcare insurance, all of these agencies are going to benefit from these new norms. Okay. Then we have an article that how Sanjay Malhotra ji quietly liberalized RBI. So we have to understand the strategy of the governor right now. Very important. See, it is very important for you to understand. Now, this article might not be important from your MCQ or phase 1 point of view, but this is very important because when you try to understand the philosophy of different influential people, you imbibe them in yourself also. You imbibe those kind of thoughts, those processes. You try and understand the strategy which is followed by different high ranking officials, and you can understand कि अच्छा they think on these lines. It helps you develop your mind, it helps you develop your skills also. ठीक है. So if you see, Sanjay Malhotra has focused on making RBI more accessible, more open to changes. ठीक है. It has been more, RBI has become more open and accessible. Old rules से we are moving towards new rules, है ना. We are very responsive to any kind of industrial feedback now. So Sanjay Malhotra is one of the most open governors who's open to change. He's not rigid, he's open to change. He follows a balanced approach. ठीक है. Balanced approach in the sense that it has tried to focus on economic growth also, and tried to focus on stability also. It has tried to maintain a balance between that. To improve economic growth, it has RBI has brought in different changes. For example, repo rate reduction. In this year only 100 basis points ka reduction we have seen, and now we have seen a 25 basis points reduction, more out of that. To maintain economic stability, RBI is bringing in so many new platforms, so many stringent norms, Basel norms ko we are following, है ना. Then we are following a lot of norms here, है ना. Then during his tenure, RBI implemented major regulatory reforms. Now this regulatory reform is very important. Promotion of foreign strategic capital. You have heard about foreign direct investment. You might have heard about foreign portfolio investment. You might have also heard about foreign institutional investment. Yeah. Here there is a new term which I don't know if you've heard or not, but this is foreign strategic capital. Can anyone tell me what you understand by foreign strategic capital? Do you know the meaning of foreign strategic capital or not? Just let me know in the comment section that have you heard about this word before? Have you heard about this word before, and how it is different from FII, FPI, FDI? See, I've always explained the difference between FDI, FPI, FII. Let's try and quickly take the difference. FDI may what you're doing is you are investing. The foreigners are in bringing in investment in the country which is more than 10%. Foreign portfolio mein investment it is usually less than 10%. In case of FDI, along with money, you have good amount of control in the business. You have voting power in the business. You regularly take decisions. है ना. You regularly take decisions in case of FDI. है ना. And you may or may not be a part of the management and all also. है ना. So you have a greater role than a foreign portfolio investor. Foreign portfolio investor may usually invest less than 10%, and you don't have control at all in the business. You do not get into day to day activities, and you do not have any kind of voting power over here in case of FPI, or you do not you're not involved in management purposes. ठीक है. Foreign institutional investment is like foreign portfolio investment only. It's just that in case of foreign institutional investment, the investment which is done is not by an individual. It is not by an individual, but it is by an institution, an entire institution. That institution can be a financial institution, maybe a bank or a company. It can be a corporate. ठीक है. So this is the difference between FDI, FPI and FII. I hope this is clear to all of you कि direct investment and portfolio investment and institutional investment में क्या फर्क है. There is this foreign strategic capital which you can understand is a subset of foreign direct investment only. In this case, what is happening is that we are bringing in money, we are bringing in investment from foreigners. So foreigners are investing in the country, but their motive is just not profit. In case of FDI, FPI, their motive is usually largely their motive is profit motive कि हमें we have to attain more profits. But in case of foreign strategic capital, more than profits, their motive is their strategic interest in the country. Maybe that company wants to harness the potential of of Indian market, or maybe they want to use those natural resources which are present. Maybe they want to make use of technology in this country. So they have a strategic intent to bring in their investment. That is why it is known as foreign strategic capital. So it is a subset of FDI. It is long term in nature. ठीक है, like FDI is long term in nature. FPI, FII are usually short term in nature, and that is why they are known as hot money flows. Why FPIs are known as hot money flows? Because these are very volatile, because you can easily take out your money. But FDI is usually you are bringing in machinery and all, it is like a long term investment. So, similarly, foreign strategic capital is like a long term investment only. It is a subset of FDI. It's just that they are bringing in with a strategic motive, and their motive is not just profit. I hope this is clear. FSC basically control the cross border investment. ठीक है. I hope that this is clear. Foreign strategic capital. ठीक है. So RBI indicated comfort in allowing foreign strategic capital. ठीक है. RBI allowed कि अच्छा ठीक है foreign strategic capital होना चाहिए. Usually if I am a country, if if I have my own resources, है ना, I would not want somebody else to use my resources for their strategic benefits. But RBI Governor Malhotra ji, he has been open to this foreign strategic capital, है ना? They have shown comfort in this foreign strategic capital. ठीक है? And that is a very big thing. ठीक है? India's banking system aligns with the global ownership norms. ठीक है? Deals have been cracked. Emirates, NDB Bank in Dubai, RBL Bank, है ना? We have cracked various deals also. Acha, related to this, now I'm going to give you a question. I'm going to give you a question related to this. I'm going to form a question, descriptive answer question, and I will share it on Telegram. Okay? You guys can connect with me on Telegram. Mannat Educator is my Telegram handle. You can connect with me here. I will post a question. If I don't, then please remind me, any one of you, if you guys remember. Okay? Then 20 deregulation measures have been brought up, announced since 1st October. So RBI, he has brought in deregulation measures. Deregulation measures matlab reducing regulation on entities and all. Regulation जब बहुत ज़्यादा होती है, there's a lot of problem in the country. Regulation ज़्यादा होती है, तो people do not really move towards growth. ठीक है, so allowed banks to finance mergers and acquisitions. For mergers and acquisitions से related RBI governor brought in some changes. Then जो ये REITs InvITs रहते हैं, रियल एस्टेट इन्वेस्टमेंट ट्रस्ट, ये InvITs रहते हैं, these could be used for loans and all, है ना, तो वो अलाउ करा. Then removing caps on loans against listed debt securities, external commercial borrowing से related norms, large exposure related norms लेकर आए. Fine. So, to improve credit flow, boost capital market activity, strengthen financial system competitiveness, this was the reason why RBI governor brought in so many changes. So, basically, the Sanjay Malhotra's style is that let institutions independently operate. Give them some freedom. If you give them freedom, they will be able to operate in a better way. Help them innovate and grow. ठीक है, don't focus on so much of tightening or loosening. You have to have a balanced approach. So he basically trusts the institution. बहुत ज़्यादा regulation नहीं लेकर आने. You know what happens is when you try to regulate a lot. For example, if we talk about our parents also, if they try to put in a lot of restrictions on the children, they tend to remain in that bubble and they do not grow. So a lot of regulation tries to control you, but what happens is that if you are leaving things to them, they learn more. Okay, they learn more and they grow more. Okay, so so the strategy of RBI governor is flexible, bringing in changes whenever required, and also maintaining stability. That is why when there was this depreciation of rupee, for that also RBI has taken up measures, and to influence economic growth, for that also RBI has taken up measures. Okay, so that is what is this article about. I hope it is clear to all of you. In this article, what did we try? What static portion did we understand? We saw the difference between FDI, FPI, FII. This is what is from your static portion, and we understood a new term called foreign strategic capital. Usually we do not study this. Usually we do not really read about it. This was a new term we could see in the newspaper. So these are the static. This is the static portion. How we have linked. Okay, this is how you also have to study the news and all. Okay. Then we have that Asian Development Bank ups India's financially 26 GDP growth forecast to 7.2%. ठीक है, so इसमें तो यही fact that you have to remember. Here I am giving you a homework. You have to read about Asian Development Bank, just like I told you to understand about Bureau of Indian Standards. ठीक है, you have to talk about ADB. When was it formed? And what is its role? Where is the headquarter? Who are the members? You are going to read about this. Okay? History and all. ADB. This is your homework. So ADB has upgraded India's financial growth target. Okay? To forecast to 7.2%. Earlier it was 6.5%, and it has upgraded India's forecast and says that it is one of the fastest growing economies in the region. Okay, why? Because our domestic consumption is good, our export performance is good, है ना? Technology exporting economies, technology export and all is good, right? Inflation is also controlled, financial conditions are also stable. Fine. So our prediction is quite good over here. ADB has said that our GDP expansion 8.2% in quarter two performance. Because of that also we have upgraded the growth. Okay, fine. So exports are good. We've signed trade agreements and all also. That is why. And our GVA growth is also good. These are the reasons why ADB has upgraded the financial year 26 ratings for India. Okay. Then we have another article over here wherein we are going to understand what are real estate investment trusts and what are InvITs. यहाँ पे what is the news that if we invest in real estate investment trusts and InvITs, it could drive India's infrastructure. So it is going to improve our infrastructure and increase our infrastructure. So my question from you is, can anyone tell me what are real estate investment trusts and what are InvITs? Anyone? Anyone aware of what real estate investment trusts and infrastructure investment trusts? Infrastructure investment trust, real estate investment trust. Anybody? Nobody has an idea? See what happens, in this thing is, for example, you do not really want to buy a real estate property. You don't actually want to buy a real estate property. So what you can do is uh, these trusts, they collect money from the people, from investors. They collect a lot of money from different people, and then they invest in real estate. So whatever appreciation and all is happening in real estate, those benefits are provided to the people. Similarly, in which way what happens is these trusts, they collect a lot of money from the people. They collect a lot of money from the people, and then they invest for in infrastructure development, and also whatever gains and all they get, they distribute among the investors. Okay, so they are not exactly like mutual funds, Kevlin. They kind of work like mutual funds, but म्यूचुअल फंड्स में यू बेसिकली पुट योर मनी इन डिफरेंट डिफरेंट स्टॉक्स एंड ऑल. इसमें इट इज स्पेसिफिक फॉर रियल एस्टेट सेक्टर, स्पेसिफिक फॉर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, ऐसे करके. ठीक है, सो व्हाट दे आर सेइंग इज दैट इफ इन्वेस्टमेंट्स इन रियल एस्टेट इन्वेस्टमेंट ट्रस्ट एंड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इन्वेस्टमेंट trust increase, it could really provide a lot of capital for infrastructure development, and our infrastructure development is going to improve. So if you want to become a developed country by the year 2047, if you want to become Viksit Bharat by the year 2047, India must grow from a $4 trillion economy to a $30 trillion economy. And for that, we need a strong infrastructure system. We need good logistics, clean mobility, reliable energy, and sustainable urbanization. ठीक है? And there comes this role of real estate investment trust and InvITs, that we should improve or increase and invest in these trusts so that this money can be utilized for infrastructure development. So now if you guys get a question in your descriptive answer writing related to infrastructure, then there you can write down a point that investment in REITs and InvITs is an important and crucial aspect of improving infrastructure in the country. ठीक है? Fine. So we basically have to improve the investment in REITs and InvITs. So current gap, if we talk about India's current gap, India has 27 InvITs with assets of 1.7 trillion rupees. ठीक है, and it is very less as compared to the potential that we have. We can generate good amount of money, but we are only generating this. So our target should be 10 trillion rupees, $90 billion in such assets. This should be our target. So our potential to bring in, for invest in InvITs and real estate investment trust is very low, below the potential. ठीक है? Some challenges have been identified over here. कि what are the problems that we are not able to collect a lot of money in REITs and InvITs because of some governance challenges. There are certain governance challenges. ठीक है? Valuation methods are weak. मतलब how are you valuing a real estate property? That is weak. है ना? Pipeline of assets are weak. Monetization pipeline like roads, transmission lines, ये सब weak है. They need to be accelerated. ठीक है? कोई predictable tax and regulatory environment नहीं है. Retail participation is quite low. These are the reasons why we are not able to utilize REITs and InvITs for infrastructure purposes. And for that, there is a solution which has been offered in India. है ना? What is the solution over here? We need to build a large pipeline of assets. ठीक है? We need to monetize $250 billion of roads, transmission lines. Can anyone tell me what is the meaning of monetization? यहाँ पे I've written that we need to monetize roads, transmission lines, renewable energy, logistics, airports. We need to monetize these roads and all. We need to monetize the assets. Any idea what is the meaning of monetization? You might have heard about these schemes in all of the government or mission, national monetization pipeline. है ना? So any idea what is the meaning of monetization? See, what happens is that government has a lot of assets. है ना? For example, you might have 3 to 4 houses, है ना? But you are living in one house and बाकी के 3 houses are going waste. What you can do is you can basically monetize them by by earning rental income. You can maybe give those 3 other houses for rent and you can earn from that. So what you're trying to do, you're monetizing an asset. Similarly, there are so many assets of the government which are idle, that if we try and utilize them, then they can generate income. ठीक है? That is the meaning of monetization. ठीक है? So there's a need to basically improve monetization of these assets so that they can generate income and that money can further be utilized for infrastructure development. Secondly, increase private participation. Why? Because private sector has a lot of fund and we require that fund to earn money from it. हाँ, ठीक है, Amrinder, right? है ना? So we need to improve private participation in assets like bus stations, metro systems, water treatment plants, parking facilities, commercial markets, so that money can then be utilized for infrastructure development. ठीक है? Ensure independent high quality trust management. ठीक है? Professional managers should be there, governance and transparency should be there. ये तो basic points है which you can write everywhere, है ना? Tax and regulatory setup should be predictable. Domestic retail investor base should be enhanced. And integrate REITs with REITs InvITs with long-term development strategy. है ना? These are very important if we want to unlock our $1 trillion global capital potential for India's infrastructure build-up. So we need to bring in this. We need to enhance our infrastructure development. Only then we will become a developed country by the year 2047. ठीक है? Apart from that, I hope, अच्छा, इससे what static portion did we understand, that what is the meaning of REITs and InvITs. These two were the static terms that we try to understand. Third term we try to understand is monetization. Okay, these are the three important static portion how we have linked. I hope this is clear to all of you. Then we have fact-based news. For example, there's this article over here that call for duty reset on inputs for wind power components. So to generate power from wind, है ना, to generate electricity from wind energy, the inputs that we import from outside, we import some inputs, ठीक है, from outside of the country. We bring in these wind power components from outside of the country to enhance our wind power energy. So यहाँ पे what we are saying is that we need to reduce the tariffs and all on these. We need to reduce tariffs on these imported inputs. ठीक है? So what is the problem? There's this inverted duty structure. So in one of my classes 4 days back, I discussed what is the meaning of inverted duty structure. So usually क्या होता है ना, that on your final product, the tariff or the tax should be higher as compared to the intermediate input. Usually obviously input, अगर आप raw material कुछ खरीद रहे हो, उस पे tax should be less, final product पे tax should be more. But in case of inverted duty structure, the problem is that inputs pay tax is high and final output pay tax is less. This is known as the inverted duty structure, which is a negative thing. It is hindering development, it is hindering growth. तो यहाँ पे क्या कह रहे हैं, this inverted duty structure is hurting the domestic manufacturing, because we are importing from foreign, we are importing these components from outside of the country at a higher rate, and then we are selling the final product, और जो बाद का final product है उस पे कम tax है. So there is 15% import duty on special grade steel, which is utilized in these wind turbine gearboxes. ये gearboxes क्या होते हैं? Gearbox I've had this, हाँ, gearbox. This is gearbox, ठीक है? ऐसे ऐसे this is utilized in machinery and all. ठीक है? These gearboxes manufacturing, it means creating mechanical system, gearboxing. ऐसे ऐसे wheels ही होती हैं, rotating shafts से होते हैं, है ना? It is used in cars, it is used in machines and all for smooth functioning of the machinery. ठीक है? So what are we doing is we are basically importing special grade steel which are used in these wind turbine gearboxing, उसको rotate and all करने के लिए these wind turbine gearboxes होते हैं, उसमें we use this special grade steel, है ना, for that, and उसपे we are paying 15% import duty, है ना. We are paying 15% import duty on special grade steel, जबकि gearboxes पे it is only 7.5%. This is the inverted duty structure. यानी कि input पे, special grade steel पे, the input which is utilized for making gearboxes, this special grade steel is utilized for making gearboxes, उस पे we are paying 15% import duty, और gearboxes पे we pay only 7.5%. So you see this inverted duty structure, which is a negative thing. We are basically paying almost half. We are paying half for the final product, and double we are paying for the input. ठीक है? So it is making gearboxes cheaper than domestically manufactured ones. अब मुझे अगर gearboxes ही directly I am getting it at a lower price, why will I focus on domestic manufacturing then? Because domestic manufacturing तो मुझे बहुत महंगा पड़ रहा है 15%. It's better I just import these gearboxes directly. So what is happening is our domestic manufacturing is being hindered in that case. Our domestic manufacturing is being hindered. This is a problematic thing. India imports nearly 10% of its specialty steel needs, mostly from China, maximum from China, and we have to reduce our import dependence on China. So uske liye to we need to focus on manufacturing. But I as a producer, I will not manufacture on my own because I am getting the final product at a cheaper rate. So that is why government has proposed that we are going to reduce the custom duty on the specialty steel, and this was also announced in union budget. Basically, we want to correct the inverted duty structure, support domestic manufacturing, and reduce our import dependence. ठीक है? Fine. So our focus is that we have to focus on local content, we have to focus on locally produced components, है ना. प्रोटोटाइप टेस्टिंग विल बी अलाउड. प्रोटोटाइप मतलब आप इनिशियली जो एक फाइनल प्रोडक्ट से पहले एक प्रोटोटाइप बनाते हो of Indian components, that will be available by 2027. ठीक है. If I talk about current domestic gearbox manufacturing, what is the state? India has approximately 12% domestic manufacturing capacity for gearboxes. ठीक है. What is the capacity? Approximately 12%. ठीक है. Many Indian companies produce only 3 megawatt gearboxes. So we are well below our potential. So that is what we have to focus upon. Which are these domestic manufacturers? Splendor Drives in Navi Mumbai, Wind Power Coimbatore Private Limited, ZF Coimbatore, Shanti Gears. ठीक है. So Indian manufacturers face high cost of specialty steel, which is hindering domestic production. Lower scale and capacity. Their local plants, they're not able to grow that as much. There are competition from cheaper imports, because directly we are getting gearboxes, final product only at a lower price, cost effective price, and domestic manufacturing आपको महंगा पड़ रहा है. ठीक है. Demand for wind turbines is also rising, and that is why this change is very very important, and this domestic capacity has to be harnessed. ठीक है. And if we reduce these taxes, the gearboxes prices will fall, and overall tower cost will also fall. And this is very very important for becoming a developed country. That is why this is important. ठीक है. फिर there is this small news that retail inflation likely rose 0.8% in November. ठीक है. Retail inflation rose 0.8% in November, up from 0.25%. बेस इफेक्ट्स आर फेडिंग. रीजन क्या कह रहे हैं? बेस इफेक्ट आर फेडिंग. बेस इफेक्ट मतलब पुराना बहुत ज्यादा हाई था, दैट इज वाई अब हमारा इन्फ्लेशन रेट कम लग रहा है. ठीक है. गुड मॉनसून एंड स्ट्रॉन्ग हार्वेस्ट की वजह से प्राइस प्रेशर्स कम थे, इन्फ्लेशन कम थी, जीएसटी कट्स एंड वीक डिमांड था, है ना. आरबीआई टारगेट, व्हाट इज आरबीआई टारगेट? कि वी हैव टू मेंटेन इट बिटवीन 2 to 6%, but our inflation target, it fell below 2%, but now it is kind of recovering. थोड़ा सा अभी बढ़ा है in November. ठीक है. Fine. So you don't need to get into very much detail. This is just basic that November में थोड़ा सा retail inflation grew a little bit. ठीक है. Then there is this article related to Green Revolution 2.0. Very beautiful article, very important article over here. Green Revolution, you guys know what it is, that we enhance the food production by bringing in HYV seeds, है ना. I hope you guys know what Green Revolution is, है ना. High yield variety seeds we brought in. अच्छा, यहाँ पे just quickly tell me, all of you, anybody, who is known as the father of Green Revolution? Who is known as the father of Green Revolution? Anybody? ठीक है. तो यहाँ पे बेसिकली वी हैव दिस ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन 2.0, क्लाइमेट एक्शन इन फूड सेक्टर. So what is this article? I'm going to give you the crux of this article first. They are saying that food sector enhancement is good, increasing food availability and all is good, but Green Revolution 2.0 should be basically inferring to climate change related aspects and including that uh, you know uh, understanding climate change and accordingly bringing in such systems for food security. ठीक है. Food processing right now, if I talk about India's food sector, there are millions of people who are employed in the food sector, contributes to national economy. Food processing is valued at over $300 billion. Food and agriculture system forms a multi-trillion-dollar value chain, है ना. Food and Agriculture Organization estimates global food systems account for 1/3 of greenhouse gas emissions. What we are saying is that, what is this article saying? That we are producing food, right? But in producing food also, a lot of greenhouse gas emissions are increased. A lot of greenhouse gas emissions are increased. So now our focus should be that if we are focusing on manufacturing food, increasing food grain production and all, we need to control these greenhouse gas emissions and we need to focus on this climate aspect also. Amarendra is saying that father of green revolution is MS Swaminathan and Akanksha is Norman Borlaug. So dekho bhai, when we talk about green revolution, the father of green revolution, I would say that father of green revolution is Norman Borlaug. ठीक है. But if I say who is the father of green revolution in India, that is MS Swaminathan. Okay, this distinction I wanted to make. MS Swaminathan is the father of green revolution only in India, but at the international level, at the global level, it is Norman Borlaug. Okay, remember this, all of you. Okay, Amrendra. So Akanksha and Souvik, you guys have attended my class. That is why you could give me the correct answer. है ना? Very good. ठीक है? For others also, father of Green Revolution Norman Borlaug and father of Green Revolution in India MS Swaminathan. ठीक है? So what are the challenges in measuring farm level emissions? What happens is it is very difficult to measure the farm level emissions because there is uncertain data. है ना? Then we do not really know what is the quality of the fodder and all. We're not able to actually estimate, right? For Indian consumers shows interest in sustainability, but they still prioritize price and taste. है ना? If you see climate friendly options like millets and all, उनका taste अच्छा नहीं होता, people do not like to eat them. They still focus on price कि जो सस्ता मिल जाए. And if there's something available at a cheaper rate, that means obviously that is not very safe, sustainable. That is not sustainable. So we Indians, or we the people, Indian consumers, they do not really focus on healthy eating or climate friendly aspect. They still focus on, you know, they still focus on the taste and all. That is a problematic thing. Okay. So there are difficulties in working with the farmers also. Farmers are also very hesitant. They do not really get that technical advice and all. They do not really focus on that. Okay. Then impact of climate change on food production. Climate change really affects the supply of dairy, cereals, spices and all. है ना? Volatile weather raises input costs, disrupts procurement, threatens quality of food products also. है ना? When there are extreme weather events and all, supply chain disruptions can happen. That is why we need to decarbonize the food sector. If we are, bringing in food, introducing food or manufacturing food and all, increasing food grain production and all, we need to focus on alternative sources which is going to not create much of carbon emissions. Private firms should also take a step towards that. We need to improve our standards. We need to focus on open land data use data sets, है ना? Extension services should be provided to help the farmers in reducing this. Government should bring in policies. There should be a national framework for emission reduction with food supply chains. So it is very important. India's food sector is very vast, and we need to bring in some climate friendly reforms. Okay? So these were all the articles that I wanted to discuss with you. Fine. I hope that you have understood how to link static portion with the current one, and I hope you've understood a lot of terms in today's session. Let's do a few MCQs and then we are going to end the session over here. Firstly, this is a surprise question. Okay, this is a small article in the newspaper. I had also shared this on Telegram. Recently, which Indian festival was added to UNESCO's Intangible Cultural Heritage List as announced in New Delhi? Who's going to tell me? Holi, Navratri, Diwali, Pongal, Onam. I have shared this on Telegram also. Which Indian festival has been added to UNESCO's Intangible Cultural Heritage List? Nobody else knows. Amrendra, Kevlin, Souvik, only they know. So absolutely correct. Diwali has been added to the intangible cultural heritage list. Okay, so Indian Festival of Lights, Diwali, it has been added to UNESCO's intangible cultural heritage list. So this is a very important thing. It is a very good thing. Okay, this is a huge achievement. Second, which of the following is highlighted as one of the biggest challenges in decarbonizing India's food sector? What is the major challenge? High consumer preference for imported food products, difficulty in accurately measuring farm level emissions, lack of agricultural land in India, overproduction of cereals and dairy items, excessive government regulation of food businesses. Second question, what is the major challenge? What is the major difficulty? Quickly, I want answers from everybody. Akanksha, Amrendra and Kevlin have given me the answer. Souvik, Akanksha, Sureka, all of you. Tanishq, what is the answer? Absolutely correct. There's difficulty in accurately measuring the farm level emissions, right? Next question number 3. Retail inflation in India is likely to rise to what level in November? According to a Mint poll of 20 economists, 0.8%, 0.5, 0.25, 1.5 or 2%. Third question. What is the answer to the third question? Quickly, everybody. Absolutely correct. 0.8%. Very good. Question number 4. How much foreign institutional investment flowed into India in 2025 as mentioned? $5 billion, $10 billion, $12 billion, $15 billion, or $18 billion? Foreign institutional investment, how much did we see? Fourth question. How much foreign institutional investment flowed into India? Amrendra says B. What about others? Quickly give me the answer. I want everybody giving me quick answers. Answer is E. $18 billion. ठीक है? $18 billion. Next question, fifth. What was the rupee dollar exchange rate movement between December 24 and December 2025? 70 to 75, 75 to 80, 80 to 83, 84 to 80, 90, 90 to 100. Depreciation कितना हुआ है? Absolutely correct. 84.83 to 90.10. Very good. ठीक है? Next question number 6. What share of India's specialty steel needs is currently imported? How much we are importing specialty steel? 5%, 10%, 15%, 25%, or 40%? Question number 6. Sixth question. B is the correct answer. 10%. ठीक है? So currently we are importing 10% of specialty steel. What is the current share of domestic retail participation in REITs and InvITs? Seventh question. What is the current share of domestic REITs and InvITs? 2 to 3%, 5%, 7 to 8%, 15%, 20 to 25%. Domestic retail participation is quite weak over here and we have to enhance it, we have to increase it. So what is it? Seventh question. Amrendra says A, 2 to 3%. What about others? The correct answer is C, 7 to 8%. 2 to 3% नहीं है, 7 to 8% है. ठीक है? Which challenge is linked to weakening investor confidence in InvITs? Slow FDI inflows, sponsor controlled operations, lack of municipal bonds, low export competitiveness, high inflation. Why do people do not invest in InvITs? What do you think? Is it because of slow FDI inflows? Is it because of slow FDI inflows? Is it because of sponsor controlled operations? कि मतलब there are certain sponsors only जो सब कुछ control करते हैं, है ना? Lack of municipal bonds, low export competitiveness है या फिर high inflation है? Absolutely correct. Sponsor controlled operations. ठीक है? Ninth question. What is ADB's revised GDP growth forecast for India? 6.2, 6.5, 7.2, 7.8 या फिर 8.2%? ADB's revised GDP growth forecast for India for financial year 26. 6.2, 6.5, 7.2, 7.8 or 8.2? तो इजी था ना, हेडलाइन में ही था ये तो. Correct answer is 7.2%. Right. 10th question. What was India's stronger than expected GDP growth in September quarter? 6.5, 7, 7.8, 8.2, 9.2. So second quarter में what was that expected? What was the growth rate that we saw? India's stronger than expected GDP growth in September. Quarter 1 में जो 7.8, quarter 2 में 8.2%. Absolutely correct. 11th question. अच्छा, financial year 27 के लिए what is ADB's unchanged projection? Financial year 26 के लिए तो it has increased. Financial year 27 के लिए what is the unchanged projection? 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5. For financial year 26 it has been upgraded, but for financial year 27 it has remained the same. So what was it? I deliberately did not discuss it in that, so that if you guys know, you can recall and tell me that what was previous, because previously also in the live mint analysis we have discussed this. 11th question. Quickly. Amrendra is saying C. Anybody else? The correct answer is C. Absolutely correct. 6.5%. What is one of the most notable changes attributed to Sanjay Malhotra's first year as governor? Complete privatization of all banks. RBI becoming more open and willing to revisit old rules. Increasing repo rate aggressively. Ban on foreign capital. Tightening all credit norms. This is the very easy. Absolutely correct. RBI becoming more open and willing to revisit old rules, right? Which of the following was not part of RBI's 1st October deregulation package, allowing banks to finance mergers and acquisition, removing cap on loans against listed debt securities, increasing lending limits against shares in REITs, raising CRR requirement for banks, raising CRR requirement, proposing a review of external commercial borrowings. Again, very easy question. इसमें से क्या नहीं किया है? Right, 13D. CRR तो has been reduced, not increased. ठीक है? Then 14th question, BIS AI data quality standards primarily aim to increase export competitiveness, create a common language for data quality and reduce model errors, reduce energy consumption in AI systems, promote faster data transmission, develop low cost hardware for ML workflows. What is the answer? 14th question, B is absolutely correct. Create a common language for data quality and reduce model answers. How many new standards has BIS notified in the latest update? 8, 10, 12, 15 or 18? How many new standards? 8, 10, 12, 15 or 18? The correct answer is 12. ठीक है? BIS AI data quality standards primarily aim to increase export competitiveness, create a common language for data quality and reduce model answers, reduce energy consumption in AI systems, promote faster data transmission, develop low cost hardware for ML workflows. What is the major aim? Question number 15. CCB, the correct answer is B. Create a common language for data quality and reduce model errors. ठीक है? Which country ranks higher than India in IMD World Competitiveness Ranking? South Africa, Mexico, Brazil, Malaysia, none. South Africa, Mexico, Brazil, Malaysia, or none of these. We had seen that list now, that these countries, UAE and all, we saw that they perform better than IMD, than India. 16B, 16D, absolutely correct. Malaysia, D. ठीक है? D है ये आंसर. Fine. So that is all from my side, everyone. I hope that this session was helpful to all of you, and I hope that you understood how to read the newspaper. I hope you understood the basic things that we have discussed, the static portion that we have discussed. If you guys want to connect with me beyond these sessions, you can connect with me on Telegram. Manat Educator is my Telegram handle, right? So you can connect with me over here. Just let me know in the comment section whether everything is clear or not, and then we are going to end the session over here. Clear, everyone? तो बस इसी तरह से आपने भी न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ना है एंड यू हैव टू लिंक इट विद योर स्टैटिक पोर्शन. ठीक है? ऑलराइट. ओके केवलिन. Alright, everybody, thank you and have a great day ahead, and I will see you all in my next one. Till then, keep studying and wish you all the best. Bye bye.